You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, bar, arcade, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 9 of MC True Long Island Story. I am your host, the Internet Champion. Always ready and always ready for a nice Major PBR. Got that stronger seltzer. Cheers. Always ready, Matt Cardona.
I'm also here, producer of the show, Smart Mark Sterling, Esquire. I actually, for the first time, I'm cracking open a regular beer. I'm feeling a beer tonight. Can I have a light
nothing wrong
beer?
with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
If you're a Patreon member, I did a little bonus episode that should be up by now, where I talk about my WrestleCon experience and some Z-True stuff with my friend Anthony LaRocca, who helped behind the scenes, and he took the warm PBR from my set and started drinking it.
From your set?
While we were recording.
What do you mean?
I usually keep a PBR like in the background.
Oh.
And he just took it, cracked it open, and started drinking it.
Well, we have some big news for MC based off of FWF. Now, we've been talking about FWF coming up for a long time. It dropped. It dropped last Thursday.
That's right.
And there's some MC news that came out of that. You want to share that?
So, guys, this is the last day to order it. Patreon.com/FWF Live. Not only was my dad in attendance, we had our FWF Live moment. We hugged. I wore the cowboy hat. Mm-hmm. But then the lights went out. And was I attacked by Stang? It was Michael Chiappetta, that bald, four-eyed son of a bitch, attacked me. But then Big O. It's the Big O made his big return. Cleans house, helps me up, and then gives me the spine buster, whatever, the ozone, whatever he calls it. Just right through the mat. Spine buster right through the mat. So I thought the beef was squashed. Mm-hmm. Apparently not.
Right.
Apparently not.
He showed up somehow in our back. We didn't even notice. We didn't even notice he was in the back. Comes out, interferes in your match.
Still big. More weights, more dates.
Yeah, exactly. Still huge. But that means we are in contact with the Big O and Chiappetta and your dad. So
yeah. So it was, and I will say this.
Yeah.
I text Scott Stanford to film a little end of credits cameo.
Yep.
No response.
Does he still work for the WWE?
I thought he did in some capacity. I can't believe it. A no-sell by Scott Stanford. Wow. I'm actually offended.
Yeah, it's all those times he begged you to get in your show.
Right? No. So if you're listening to this, guys, tweet Scott Stanford and say, you didn't text Zack Ryder or at the Matt Cardona back. Are you serious, bro?
Yes, please.
Let's bombard him. Right. And I guess all your texts to Big O worked because he is back. I don't know for sure where this is going to lead. I don't know for sure if this is going to get him on the show. Chiappetta, obviously he's still alive, which is a good thing. And my dad is still kicking. Mm-hmm. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have one of those guys on as a guest. So I don't want to promise a date. We're still trying to schedule it. Right. But in the very near future, I would say the next month or so, one of those guys will be on the show as a guest.
And you guys will be able to ask questions and all that stuff. We'll figure out a way to do that.
Right.
Also, bringing people together, Matt Cardona. We mentioned Nathan Zagura last week.
Bro.
He followed me this week. I was thrilled. Bro, I'm telling you, he was my favorite fantasy analyst.
Stop. He's gonna call me again this week. He's like, oh, he wants to be on the show so bad.
Oh, we'll have to get him on the show.
We're gonna have him on, but he's jumping ahead of himself. He's talking about the Rock moment at MSG. I'm like, listen, we're at episode 9 here. We're not even friends in real life yet, bro.
Right.
But we do shortly thereafter we become friends because he becomes friends with Miz, who introduces Nathan to me, and then we become some buddies. But Nathan's a great dude. Always very, very supportive. Not just of the Miz, but of me. So thank you, Nathan. And maybe he'll listen every week. Who knows? And maybe you guys could do a podcast about fantasy football.
I just want to hear what his thoughts are. He always had the best advice. All right, and then the big follow up. Did we talk about this on the show? The Jeremy Jacobowitz stuff.
Okay, no. Okay, so we talked about that we were looking for Sports Rev TV.
Okay, so
the guy,
episode 7, the guy who interviewed Triple H, The Miz,
Cena,
and John Cena. Yeah,
I couldn't find him anywhere.
Right.
Facebook, Major Marcus Brandon. He writes, "Hey, this guy. His name is Jeremy Jacobowitz, and he has a famous Instagram account called Brunch Boys." So I'm like, okay, let me type that into Instagram. I already follow him. But not because I know it's the guy who asks all those questions, because I like the food pics.
Blogging. Yeah. Right.
So we actually have a special follow-up with him right after this commercial break. All right, and now a little update with Jeremy Jacobowitz. Jeremy, what is up, my man?
Hey, guys. Happy to be on with you.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, I DM Jeremy, but let me fill everybody in for those who don't know. Jeremy is the guy from episode 7 who asked the question to Miz, to Triple H, to Cena, who sent me the footage. And then 10 years later, I'm trying to find this dude. I'm typing in the old Twitter account. It's deactivated. I'm going through my emails. I can't find anything. And then somebody hits us up on Facebook, said this guy's a famous Instagram food blogger. I go to the account. I'm already following him. Right? I'm already following him. And I DM you. I say hey, something like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm just putting two together now. We need to have you on the show. So what's with the food blogs, or what is it? Blogs? What's the deal with the food? You're all over the place.
Yeah, I'll say vlog. So what's funny is, what is it, a decade ago now when those original videos came out. So this is so weird. I graduated college. I started working in sports TV. Alongside of that, I always did my own projects on the side. So it was a website called sportsrev.tv. And I would just do sports things, do whatever, a lot of wrestling stuff, because there really wasn't any video wrestling content out there 10 years ago. But at the time I did this video, when I went to the WrestleMania press conference, I think I'd either just left or was still working at the WWE also. Had nothing to do with me going there. Obviously, I would have gotten fired.
Oh, I didn't even know you worked for WWE. Did I know you from WWE?
No.
I feel like a total asshole if I didn't know you then.
No. Nobody knew me at WWE.
Okay.
My job at WWE was my first job out of college, or actual job. I was a logger. So this is before WWE Network. So they put me in a trailer behind the production facility. And my job was to watch all of wrestling for an entire year back there. Everything they own, everything they've bought, the whole thing, the foundation of the network was sort of what we were doing.
Right. Well, that's pretty. So you left WWE. You start this on your own, or you join this company?
So the sportsrev.tv was always just my own thing on the side, whenever I wanted to. So WWE's part-time, whatever. And I would just be like, I don't know, go do a wrestling thing here, go do a local sports thing, or just always keep me busy, especially when your job is just to watch wrestling. You sort of want something you could sink your teeth into a little bit more. So that was always what I did. I was in sports TV. But when I left WWE, I then found my way into food TV. And I was working for Food Network with Bobby Flay, Travel Channel, all that stuff. And then again, I just wanted something more to sink my teeth into. I started an online thing called Brunch Boys, which then morphed into just my name, Jeremy Jacobowitz. And that became what I do now full-time for the past 6 years, which is a going food adventure. So I'm usually all over the world. It's definitely all over the country, 100% all over New York, searching for the best food.
Yeah, so that's why I'm following you, because of the food. I didn't even realize you're the guy who on episode 7 asked the hard-hitting questions.
Hold on a second. Let me get my timeline correct here. At WrestleMania, you were still a logger for the WWE or no?
I don't remember if I had just left or was about to leave. I forget exactly. It was right at the time I either left or was about to end, or the job was about to end.
So how do you get like a press pass?
That's what I'm at. Where do you get these? Where do you get these credentials? At your own website?
So the way it used to work, these press conferences, where WWE used to do them in the old WWE restaurant, which is now Hard Rock or whatever.
Right.
And at the time, it was always meant to be like local news would show up, maybe ESPN, maybe like an Access Hollywood, and maybe a few like wrestling writers. But there's no wrestling content on YouTube, not like there is now. There's nothing. And I had started covering those press conferences when I had worked in local sports in New York. So I worked for SNY and I worked for WCBS. So I'd made connections. And when I started my own thing, I had always just emailed them and be like, hey, I have this online thing. I think WDPR was like, that's cool. Like this weird wrestling thing. No one else is asking us to come in. So they would always credential me. I did it for a number of years, actually.
So you weren't worried. Well, I guess if you were either already left or you were about to leave, so then you didn't care that you were going to ask these questions that would probably piss people off.
I was trying to think about it. I went back and watched your episode. I've actually binged all of your episodes of the podcast so far. And I was trying to put myself back in the mindset. I mean, I honestly just think I was like 23 and stupid. Sure, why wouldn't I ask Triple H's question? This is what I want to know.
I was 25 and stupid, so hey, I don't blame you. Right. But I remember you had, I think you just like tweeted it and tagged me, and then we were going back and forth. I tried to find the tweets. I couldn't find them because the account's not active.
Yeah. So because that was all my old company, sportservice.tv, like that stuff has all been archived and gone right. Forever. Even the videos, my original videos on YouTube have all sadly been archived and gone forever.
Well, luckily we got them. But I remember when you sent me this footage, I was like, oh my God, like this is really, painting that perfect picture. Take a shot. Perfect picture. This is what I'm saying WWE is treating me like. And it's just right there. Right. And it's like, it's not manipulated footage. It's not like cleverly edited to make it seem a certain way. You're just asking a question to John Cena, The Miz, the WWE champion, and Triple H. And those are the answers. And I was hesitant to put them in, but I felt like I had to. And I have no regrets about it. Because I feel like you asking those questions were an honest question from a fan, right? It wasn't set up. I didn't hit you up and be like, hey, bro, can you ask this?
Yeah. You know what's funny is I was trying to, again, put myself back in that mindset. And I do remember why I wanted to ask it. I think my mindset was like, everyone at this press conference asked just very general questions because they're not really wrestling fans who go there. They're just told, just get some sound. So to go up to Hunter and they're like, hey, tell us about WrestleMania. Give us a little 1-2 or whatever. So these dudes aren't really prepared for real wrestling questions. And I always like doing that because I'm like, I am a wrestling fan. My content is for me truly at the end of the day. So I'm like, let me just ask something I'm actually interested in. I'm like, okay, you were starting to blow up. And I'm like, I want you on Raw. This seems like something relevant. These are something me and my friends are talking about. Like, why isn't he on Raw? Why wouldn't I ask this question? Knowing that, like, I didn't think, it's funny. I want to say, like, after you posted it, it got way more traction, obviously. And I did think to myself, I'm like, oh God, like, did I get this dude fired? Did I get one of my favorite wrestlers fired for it? Because I honestly didn't think about it. But yeah, looking back, it's like, maybe Hunter would have thought like, oh, Zack's doing some stupid internet thing. He got this kid to come up to me and ask this question. Yeah, it wasn't any of that. It was literally just, I didn't know who I was even going to talk to because you never know. They just throw you in front of someone like, oh yeah, go over to Miz, go over to Triple H, whatever. So I had no other plan of who I was going to talk to other than like, okay, let me hit a couple WrestleMania questions and then let me get this one question I really want to know.
As a wrestler, I appreciate that because I've done so many red carpets or interviews or podcasts, and you're asked the same question over. What's your favorite match? What's your career highlight? Who's your dream opponent? But when someone asks a unique question that really gets me, like, I don't want to say out of my comfort zone, but out of like, okay, I don't have this answer in my back pocket already. I appreciate that because that makes the interview fun for me. So I appreciate that you asked that kind of question.
You see their eyes light up like, oh, he's a fan. He gets it. I could like I can have a little bit more fun with this rather than the standard stuff. Yeah. And even like my initial reaction with the Hunter stuff and rewatching it now, like it's different, but I almost, it didn't even seem negative to you. It seemed negative to me. And Triple H is my favorite wrestler of all time, by the way. But he looked at me just like, I remember to look, I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, the WrestleMania press conference. Like, I'm facing, who is he facing at that WrestleMania? Taker? I
have no idea. I feel like it's Undertaker. Yeah.
But it's like, what are you asking me this for?
Right.
So I think that was his mindset of like, let me take it out on this kid rather than you. But obviously he just maybe not have chosen his words the best.
Yeah, I think he does a great job. Listen, he's a pro's pro. He did a great job spinning it at the end, but you could tell there's a little hesitation where he's like, how do I spin this and make it more positive and instead of completely burying this person? Right. But it's just the way, it's just we on the Major Wrestling for podcast we talk about like figure fate. This was just like it was like the right place, the right time, the right question asked to the right guys. Right? Like I'm doing this YouTube show to get noticed, saying WWE is not giving me an opportunity. They're overlooking me. You asked one of the bosses. He has his answer. And then you asked the two guys who are main eventing, and their answer is the complete opposite. And it was just like, this fell into my lap. It was almost, it's like, I can understand why people would think it's set up because it was just too perfect. And the answers were too perfect. John Cena put me over like $1 million. The Miz, the world champion, put me over like $1 million. The guy who represents the company who isn't treating me right gives that kind of answer. And it was like, oh my God, I gotta use this. And then as we mentioned last week or the week before, I was hesitant to use it, but it had to be done because it was authentic. That's the best part about it. There was nothing, we didn't do anything, you or I, to like alter it or to manipulate it or to make it seem like we were asking something else. I do a lot of skits where you think I'm doing one thing like a bait and switch, but this was it. This was you asked a question, that was the answer, I uploaded it. And even the way I presented it, I didn't say like, oh, Cena and Miz put me over, Triple H buried me. I didn't say that either. I just threw it out there and let the audience decide what was really going on.
Triple H did that to himself, really. With he answered that question, and whatever the way he looked after is what happened. And then the other thing too is while we're doing research on the show about Matt's career and all that stuff, and sort of when things started to pick up, episodes 7, 8, and 9 were the big blow up episodes, and we'll talk about that more this week on the podcast. But really, I think, and this is just me being like a little historian here for the Z True Long Island story, these like little interview clips are kind of like a huge catalyst in the blow up of this show, and then the career of Zack Ryder. So you actually did the opposite. You thought for a second maybe you got your favorite wrestler fired. I think that you sort of really lit the fire.
I would 100%. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass because you're here via Zoom. Like episode 7 is the show that I think the ball started rolling, and it was because of those interviews. Because the show was taking off slowly, but those interviews, it was like an eye opener for everybody. Like, okay, he's complaining or not complaining, but saying the company feels a certain way, right out of the horse's mouth, right here. So I thank you so much for those videos and then for allowing me to put them on. It's just,
and then also for us using them again 10 years later,
which we didn't ask permission for, but I'm assuming you would have said it's okay.
All good, of course.
We tried to look for you. We tried.
What's so funny is when you guys started the podcast, I was like obviously aware of it, and in the back of my mind is like, oh, I got to ask him, if everyone wants to talk about this. I did not remember it being so early on in the run, so that's why I was like, I'll DM whatever. But to sort of go back and hear that this was like so early and like a jumping off point, because also I'd always wondered, like, did anyone ever talk to you? Like someone's like, hey, like, what was that?
Right. Well, I don't know if you heard in the 2 weeks ago, Stephanie pulls me aside and says, I watch your YouTube show. I said, thank you very much. And she said, I didn't say I liked it. So I have to assume she's talking about episode 7, the most current one. Maybe she watched 1 or 3, but my gut instinct is that she just watched the one that was up. The Triple H thing's on there. and she wasn't too happy about it. I don't know for sure. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah. Now thinking about it, I must have been gone because God, someone would have put 2 and 2 together and gotten my ass fired.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's also nuts that just like a logger, like a video logger, somehow finds his way, into press.
Right.
It's so
I mean, I never said, to be clear, like when I went there, I never said I was employed WWE to anyone I was interacting with to get in there. I knew that was, one, they would have said no, but two, like didn't play on that. As I said, like I had been there 4 or 5 years in a row doing the press conference. So it was just sort of like in even the email every year, like, hey, we're doing this again. Come on out.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
And that was at the Hard Rock? Was that Hard Rock?
Yeah, that was at the Hard Rock. So they did it there they did like for 5 or 6 years in a row there. Just before they would travel out for that week, they bring everyone to New York to do it there. Right. It just gets the easiest to get all of the media.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we can say about it. It was a very pivotal point in the show. So I guess in my career. So thank you very much. I'm glad I could say it face to face. I'm sure I said thanks then, but so much time has passed and it's still something. Even now, if you watch it, like you could. Oh, it gives me it's like almost like cringeworthy that was the answer, but it was perfect ammo for me for the show, and you didn't have to ask that question, you did, and you sent me the footage, so I mean, thank you very much. It was a hell of a run. So yeah. you played a small part in it, so I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. I know this is so unbelievable to even be. I put up a story after the episode last week, 2 weeks or whatever, and I was like, it's so insane that like this little rinky-dink video I put together 10 years ago is now being talked about on a podcast about something else is put up on the internet 10 years ago. Like the way the world works is so weird.
Yeah, man. So it's also like I want to know, like, why was I follow you on Instagram if I didn't know? Like, that's the craziest part. Like, I don't know if you would have messaged me.
I switched the Instagram handle. So it was Brunch Boys for years. So now it's my real name, Jeremy Jacobowitz. Right. So there's still some confusion when we don't see that name over and over again. You just sort of forget like, well, Brunch Boys, I followed that one time and then never connecting the dots.
Sure. So what's the big thing you got going now that you can plug?
Yeah.
We'll give you a little plugs here.
All right. I got 3 plugs here. At Jeremy Jacobowitz is my Instagram and YouTube. It's mostly food stuff. I do some wrestling stuff. Is my life. It's very vlog heavy and food adventures, whatever. I do have a wrestling podcast that I do want to plug. It's called Monday Night Pod Wrestling's War. It's all about the Monday Night War. So me and my buddy go back in time and we re-review every single episode Raw went head to head against Nitro. It is a total nerd out geek fest.
I love it. Right up our alley.
And what's the third one?
What's the third thing? It's only 2.
Oh, what else can I promote? I have another podcast called Brunch With. Actually, it's more of an interview podcast, and I've had Renee Paquette on there. So you guys are wrestling fans, you can come check that out.
Hell yeah. Right. Jeremy, thank you so much, man. Thanks for jumping on this. It's cool. So many things are cool. One, that you did the initial interviews, you sent them to me, and then 10 years later, I find out I'm looking for you. I'm already following you. That's what I told Mark, I guess a week or 2 ago. I was like, bro, you're never going to believe. Because I was like going through all my Hotmail accounts, like trying to find anything I could, but it all like had disappeared.
Yeah. So
funny.
I'm glad it worked out. Jeremy,
Thank you very much.
I think we got to make him the honorary Broski of the week. What do you think, Mark?
The Broski of the week for this week? Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
I have been waiting so long to hear those words.
Jeremy Jacobowitz, you are officially the Broski of the week. Congratulations, buddy.
I did it.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. We'll be following your stuff, man. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, so Jeremy, you are the Broski of the week, and I don't know if this is the first time ever, but the first time on the MC edition, we have a co-Broski of the week.
I ask you that. Okay,
we have a co-Broski of the week. So Jeremy, I'm sending you your headband.
Right,
you're 8x10.
Yeah,
your sticker, Jeremy. Yeah. You're getting it, and thank you so much. But we have another Broski of the week.
Broski of the week.
And the way to be Broski of the week, I say it's very simple, but people are having a hard time with it.
It is not actually very simple, but you can do it. It's simple in the way that you don't have to leave your chair. You can do it on your phone.
So what you need to do
Yes.
Go to my Twitter account at the Matt Cardona. My pinned tweet, the top tweet, will be the episode or the post about this episode. Quote tweet it. Not retweet, but quote tweet it. And in the text of that, use the hashtag Broski of the Week and post a picture of the review that you left somewhere. Seems simple to me.
Yep.
And if you do that, I will send you the 8x10, the headband, and the sticker. So Jeremy's getting it. And this Broski is also the Broski of the Week.
Well, let's hit the jingle right now. All right. Who do we got?
The Broski of the Week is Jim Seals at Jim Seals 1701.
Okay.
He wrote, the subject is, there's no nailing this carpenter.
Okay.
Not quite sure what that means.
Me either.
Okay.
Probably some reference.
After leaving in 2001, I returned to watching wrestling in 2016. At the time, Matt, Zack, Ryder, Cardona was in the Hype Bros with tag team partner Mojo Rawley. Oh, bro, you couldn't have picked a worse time to start watching.
He loved the Hype Bros so much, he researched your career.
Well, this is nice. It was clear Cardona was the Shawn Michaels of the pairing. Over a few short months, I binge watched the entire Z True Long Island Story series on YouTube and followed his career watching reruns on the WWE Network. The story may have ended before I arrived, but I was a born-again broski in no time. Cardona's innate charisma, hard work, and unvarnished love of the sport returns in this behind-the-scenes podcast chronicling his many misadventures trying to get over. Just hope he can pound it out with Big O soon. Well, that was a great review, and we haven't pounded it out yet. He pounded me into the mat. But right. So you will be getting, let me show you what you're getting. You are getting the Broski of the Week headband, available now on MattCardonaMerch.com.
Yep.
You'll be getting the Internet Champion 8x10, available now on MattCardonaMerch.com. And you will be getting the exclusive Broski of the Week sticker, not available anywhere. By design, not like my old headbands.
By the way, I put that right here on my computer. It's right on my iMac. I'm looking at it all the time. Right next to FWF logo and the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast logo. Stickers, by the way. Are those stickers still available? Because they're great.
No, all the stickers are gone. They're major WF Pod sold out, brother.
All right, let's get into it. Tweets. You had a lot of good tweets this week, so let's rifle through them.
Internet champ.
This one I wanted to ask you about. It says, go buy the WWE Superstar Slingshot iPhone app. It's Zacktastic. And then you have a link. But my wondering is, like, do they tell you to, like, hey, guys, will you please, tweet about this app we have?
Yes.
Or are you just being like, I'm going to tell people about this app?
I mean, I don't recall the game.
Yes.
If I'm in it, I'm probably telling people to get it.
Right.
I would, if I'm a betting man, I would say this was like a, hey guys, tweet this.
How do you get that? Is that like an email?
Could be a mass text, an email. Nowadays they have like a talent app where it's on your phone and has all these notifications. It's probably a text, a mass text.
So it might go ding, and then you're like, everyone needs to tweet this, and you're like, oh, all right.
Right. Sometimes you can tell when everyone's tweeting the same exact thing. Even to this day, they do.
Yeah, of course. Here's a funny one. If you remember last week, Sonny_D_ won the Broski of the Week. So he says, yo, Zack, you must hate when people ask you to follow them, but I'm Broski of the Week till Thursday. How about a follow, bro? Are you serious? And then you wrote, Broski of the Week, sign at Mania. I'll follow you forever. Woo, woo, you know it.
That's right, baby.
Question
I still follow him.
All right. So you were right.
I still follow him.
Okay. So that wasn't
See, I'm a man of my word.
All right. Now, here's a big update on a storyline that we've been following since the very beginning. Okay? April 9th, 2011. April 8th, 2011. Sorry. You tweet, my T-shirt is sold out on WWE Shop. Thanks, Zack Pack. All autographs have been sent. Lots of you don't know how to write your own address.
And Mark, over a decade later, you know, because you mail out the Major Pod cards, a lot of people don't know how to write their own address.
Yeah, Nate Tuberville, bro. You still are putting your address is still your email address, and you're still not getting cards. So, all right. So that's funny. So that's good news. So the show is actually. Let me read this tweet, and then we'll bring it all together. Next one, April 9th, almost 35,000 views for episode 8 of Z True Long Island Story. In 2 days, So it's 35,000 views in 2 days. Not bad for a guy hardly on TV. I admit I watched it 10 times. So 35,000 views. Nowadays is like, all right, nice video. Yeah. Back then on YouTube, that's a lot.
Yes, especially in 2 days.
1 million views is unheard of. 100,000 views is like, holy crap.
Right.
So things are really picking up. Your shirt, the one crappy shirt you have, which is just a picture of you, sold out.
Right.
So basically, those 2 tweets tell me that things are going really good right now.
Things are working 100%. As we talked about, I think episode 7 with those interviews that Jeremy got really helped big time.
Yes.
Because, I'm painting a picture that the WWE is dropping the ball, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
When Triple H says what he says and how he says it with no manipulation from me editing wise,
yep,
it's kind of clear as day.
Right.
So.
All right, and then you tweet April 7th. I was told the guy I bumped to in episode 8 of Z True Island Story was former WWE superstar Scotty Goldman. I knew he looked familiar.
Yes. So last week's episode, I run into Cabana in the hallway of a hotel.
I'm sure a lot of people were like, "Hey, that's
right.
That's Cole Cabana." You're probably like, "Yeah, I know." Come on.
Duh.
That's the joke. And then lastly, people keep asking me when the next Z True Island Story will debut. Haven't you guys realized that I put a new one up every Thursday?
That's right. I always thought, even in the beginning, that you pick a day and you drop it that day. Now, did it drop at the same time every Thursday?
Oh,
no.
You know what? I meant to ask you that a couple weeks ago.
It did not.
Okay.
It dropped whenever I finished editing it. Later on, when WWE takes it over, I believe it switches to Fridays.
Oh.
And I have to have it done by a certain time Thursday night for it to be uploaded Friday.
Oh, because they were uploading it to their website too?
No, it wasn't on mine. It would go right to theirs.
Right.
So that's why. Right. But so this, for all these videos are still there. YouTube.com/ I believe is it the Matt Cardona or Matt Cardona? I should probably know that.
Right.
Do we know?
Sure. I'll tell you right now. Keep talking.
So they're still there, but it ends at episode 50. And then it continues on when the WWE YouTube deal starts, which is the beginning of the end, basically. But then it also, like we've said...
Whoa, it is not Matt Cardona. Holy...
Is it the Matt Cardona?
Don't go to that Matt Cardona. Yes, it's the Matt Cardona.
Okay, youtube.com/ the Matt Cardona, which was youtube.com/ Long Island Ice Z. I switched it. But yeah, once it goes to the WWE, it's like now there's a lot more pressure. And also, it's just like, I don't want to get into that stuff yet.
Yep.
Trust me, it's going to be a deep dive next year. But, this show, I'm working my ass off, and every week I see that hard work paying off.
Yep.
Year 2, I'm working my ass off, and I'm seeing all my hard work, like all the things I've accomplished, taken away from me.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
And then plus I have to do it at a certain time. Plus I know there's this fat paycheck to WWE from YouTube I'm not seeing a dime from.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that later.
All right, so matches that you had this week, just one. So Mania happens. It's a good week, a couple matches. The episode goes up last week on the 6th or the 7th, I forget. And then on 4/12/2011, you record an episode of The Superstars where you wrestle the Great Khali and you're defeated in 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So Khali again.
Almost had him.
But here's
Hall of Famer, Great Khali.
Here's the confusing thing. This episode of Superstars was recorded at SmackDown in Albany, New York. And I'm just very confused as to why you would be at SmackDown. And this happened before, too.
Bro, I have no idea. I can't even pretend to be. I can't even Bruce Pritchard and BS this one.
Sometimes, though, sometimes they would have you go to SmackDown. Do you have any memory of that?
Sometimes, they would have to film Superstars at SmackDown.
And then they would be like, hey, you have to
Yeah.
It wasn't far. So Raw was in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Connecticut, and then SmackDown was in Albany. So that's like a drive. So if you
guys, I hate to break it to you, the Superstars match I had with Great Khali is not one of my most memorable matches of my career. So I don't recall what building it was in. I don't recall.
Right.
I mean, I know I lost. I'm sure it was either the chop or the big double choke slam thingy.
Well, so that's really it. I mean, there's nothing for you on SmackDown. There's nothing for you on Raw this week. You just have this Superstars match where you lose in 3 minutes and 24 seconds.
So
it's on SmackDown.
I notice, and I don't want to spoil, I think, the highlight of this episode, but I do film something backstage at Raw, and I'm in gear.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm just in gear for the skit, or if I must have been, or if there's some sort of
I read a
backstage
detailed
thing.
breakdown of everything that happened on Raw, and there was no mention of Zack Ryder even in backstage. So you could have been standing there in something that I missed.
Right. Who knows?
Some big stuff happened. And then what's going on at the time? So Edge retires on Raw. And that's in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Yeah, which is crazy. Now, 10 years later, just main event of WrestleMania, looking like $1 million, better than ever. Moving, hasn't missed a beat.
My God, the facials.
Looking toyetic AF.
What a match.
I texted him and said, that is Mania gear. You get it.
Yeah, so good.
Very little guys this year, I would say, had Mania gear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
It looks like they made Orton's gear out of the leftover fabric from Edge's gear.
Yeah, well, they kind of matched.
Both very toyetic.
Yeah, I loved it.
Loved it.
Orton, by the way, also WrestleMania 10. Looking great.
Look great. Great glutes and quads and hamstrings on Randy.
Right, unlike CPA. And then on SmackDown, Christian becomes the number one contender to face Alberto for that title that Edge gives up. So even though Edge is like the SmackDown champion, he's giving up the belt on Raw. But that makes sense. So he's going to go to Raw and whatever. And the other thing
I recall that being, we'll talk about it in the episode because I do mention it. That was definitely an emotional moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
Edge, somebody who took a chance on Brian and I when he didn't need us. He didn't need to help the Major Brothers, but he was smart enough to realize, like, I could use these guys. I don't mean like use them, but like this could, be an added like layer, an added element. I could have these guys, these minions, these foot soldiers, these bump and feeders. And I think it did help him for that time. Did he need us longer? I mean, who's to say if it could have went a couple months longer or a couple months shorter? But I think for what we were there to do, I think we were great and added to his character. But he didn't need it. He would have been great main event of Mania without us.
Right.
And the fact that he took the chance on us is something that I can never truly repay him for, because back then it was like sink or swim, and not necessarily like, can you swim? Like, will we let you swim? And if we don't let you swim, you're going to sink.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were like, we have to be on that chopping block. I have to believe that. And then he took us in. Like 1 week we're doing nothing in catering on SmackDown. The next week, we're beating up The Undertaker and Batista in main event segs.
Right.
All thanks to him. So for that reason, it sucked to see him retire, see him, in pain, injured. And then selfishly, to know I never would get to wrestle one of, if not my dream opponent.
Oh, true.
That definitely, hit home. But now, never say never, right? He's still going, and I'm still here, so we'll see. But then it just sucked, because how much he loved whatever the business, and to see it taken away from him, especially when he's on top. Like, not that he hadn't had the title before, and there's no good time to be injured or no good time to retire, but man, if there was, maybe that is the perfect time to retire, going out on top, winning a WrestleMania, being the champion, and then, I don't know. Who's to say? Did
you talk to him at all that night, or?
I'm sure I did. I did.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was thinking too, actually, a lot of interesting things to happen to his sort of life over the last 10 years. Becomes a television star, father and family man, and then comes back to wrestling looking even better. So, a crazy 10 years that will happen from this night that we're talking about until this last night, really.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to episode 8 of
Episode 9.
Episode 9, sorry.
Take a shot.
Online story. So there's a new opening that you actually make fun of. Not a new opening, but you have the new background.
Set.
Yes.
So I finally build a set. And what it is if you've ever had any of those projects at school where it's like that giant folder thingy. What is that even called?
Trapper Keeper?
No, not a trapper.
A diorama thing? Like
a diorama thing.
Yeah.
So I took some 8x10s and put it on like colorful construction paper, put out the logo, put it above my head, and left a little area where I would be.
Right.
And I think it was perfect for the show.
But then you made fun of it.
Yeah, we have to make fun of it.
I thought it was great.
Come on. Like, that was as professional as I could get. I didn't know how to do green screen stuff. My editing skills are bare minimum. Not because I'm not trying. I am. Like, I'm trying and I'm learning something new every couple episodes. But this was great. It was collapsible. So it wasn't just in my living room the whole time. And I think it added to the charm of the show.
Yeah.
So.
Got it. All right, then you go right into the talking about Edge briefly. I mean, this episode is very short. It's 2 minutes
under 3
and 58
minutes.
seconds.
Right.
Yeah. So you do a quick little Edge tribute. You're serious for a second, and then you show a picture of you, Hawkins, and you, Brian, and Edge.
That's a great night. That's a great night. It's overseas, and
from this picture.
This picture.
Okay.
It's the last night of a tour, and I believe I'm using like a digital camera, like not even a cell phone, like a old school digital camera.
Yeah, you had
and I have all these photos from that night with like Kofi, with MVP, Jamie Noble, and one of the best pictures I have, which I can never share, is this locker room for some reason had a hot tub in there.
Yeah.
And we somehow, you're in a locker room with a shower. There's water all over the floor, right?
Okay.
So Hornswoggle does like a naked slip and slide. But there's no slip and slide. It's just on the tile floor, naked. And of course, I snap a photo of it, and I have it.
Right. That's really. I mean, you're not even supposed to put your bare foot on a shower.
Put his
floor.
little wiener on there. Oh man.
All right. Well, since we're talking about Edge, let's bring this up real quick because he goes away, and I don't know when we're ever going to talk about Edge again. So, we've talked about this a lot on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, but there's a lot of different listeners for this show. So how did you originally link up with Edge? I mean, you kind of briefly talked about it a second ago, but what was the story? And I've heard it before, but.
Yeah, I'll tell the condensed Cliff Notes version. Basically, Brian and I, we know Edge like he's Edge. Like he's on the roster. Met him a handful of times. I believe he's coming back from an injury. Mm-hmm. We're the Major Brothers doing nothing on SmackDown. At the same time, we're also in OVW. So SmackDown is taping on Tuesday, OVW the next day on Wednesday. The WWE writers were going to be there to kind of scout the guys and see what was going on, because now NXT, it's on TV, right? They have their own action figures. It's its own brand. Then there was such a disconnect, so they literally needed to send people down there to check it out every couple of months.
Right.
It's not like people were going back and forth. It wasn't like that. They couldn't just turn on USA Network and watch the guys, So we went up to Michael Hayes, who was a writer on SmackDown and was going to be there the next day. And we basically said, like, well, what do you want to see from us tomorrow? Like, we're already here. You know our deal. And he said, show us something different. And we had all the Edge gear. By gear, I mean like merch. And we came out to his music, and we performed a little skit, like we were on the cell phone, order him coffee or something like that, and then we did the match. And the writers liked it, but now we needed Edge to like it. And Edge was coming back from an injury, like I said, and then like on a drive, I had this idea. Brian and I, we just kept bouncing ideas off each other. Like, well, what we knew we wanted to be his entourage, his cronies, but you need you can't just have this generic pitch. You kind of need all right, well, and this is how it starts. And we had this idea that we'd be hiding under the ring dressed as him, and I come out and whatever, Undertaker beats me up thinking it's Edge. And then Bryan comes out. Batista beats him up thinking it's Edge. But then the real Edge comes out and wins. And Bryan got Edge's email address, sent him an email.
Did you guys think that you look like Edge?
Enough, yeah.
Yes. You're both blonde-haired, long blonde hair.
Yeah. And then we later had to wear the gear and like go in front of Vince to see if it would work. You know, and I took it so seriously. Like I was growing like my little was the Flavor Saver because Edge had that. I was trying to find the exact Nikes he was wearing. Like I tried to be exact as possible, and it worked out. Like that first night was awesome.
Well, so Bryan gets his email.
Brian gets his email. Yep. Pitches it to Edge. Edge loves it, and then like it's happening. Wow. I remember we were in the one of my favorite restaurants in the world is Calhoun's in Saugus, Massachusetts.
Hell yeah.
And I remember we were all there after a SmackDown, and Edge pulls us into the bathroom, and he tells us it's happening. So it was pretty damn exciting.
Right.
And then everything just happened so fast. We did the gear thing where we're trying out for Vince, and then, I remember the day of the show we're hidden, and I guess there were supposed to be decals for us, and nobody brought them, so we're getting them. The makeup artists are drawing them on with Sharpie.
Oh my god!
So we're in a room hidden with the Sharpie, and then we're like hidden under the ring. Oh man, it was such a nerve-wracking night.
Into the ring like before the show, or
I want to say sometime before the main event, maybe like right before the main event. They must have played a video package, and the lights in the arena go dark, and we were all like all black. Like maybe we came out with like the cameraman, and then snuck under and undressed.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a great night. I also thought, oh my God, we are going to be rich after this because like we're doing like the week before doing nothing as the Major Brothers.
Oh, right.
Right. And like, if you just sit in catering at SmackDown, you do nothing, you get $500. Right.
Okay.
So I'm thinking like, oh my God, the main event of this pay-per-view, we align ourselves with the rated R superstar. We're going to be rich. But for pay-per-views, the check doesn't come like the next week or 2 weeks later. It comes like months later because there's a whole like weird thing. We gotta get the pay-per-view buy rate and all that stuff. So we're thinking, oh, here comes the money. Here comes the money. We get it. $500.
Really?
The same as doing nothing as a majors and catering.
What? That's crazy. That is crazy. Like if you have an actual match, then you get more. Like if you have a match on Raw, you get more.
The problem was that we had such low guaranteed contracts that like they could just pay us whatever, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah. So I was like, whoop, well, we're not going to be rich.
Well, at least you knew that you'd be working a little bit more, maybe on the road a little bit more.
And the learning experience was invaluable, whether it be, on the live events, we'd be out there, whether we're doing a run-in or accompanying Edge to the ring, we're sitting there better than the front row seat, watching them work. I don't know, Batista, Undertaker, you name it. And then I would say 75% of the time, we're also, if not more, wrestling on the show against like Finlay and Jamie Noble or Jesse and Festus or whoever, having like tag matches. And so it was like double working, and it was great. We needed that at that time.
Hell of a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Then you go to a famous, what did I call it? Poking the Bear segment.
Sure.
Where you show your dad in a WWE shirt, and you say, "This is the WWE."
I think that might actually be me.
Oh, so it's
this
you.
Time. The first time it is my dad wearing a WWE shirt, seeing no face, and then on the floor there's a boat.
Yeah.
And a Zack Ryder Mattel on the boat. So like this is a boat with Zack Ryder.
Yep.
And then I have a shovel, like a snow shovel, and I go to swing at Zack Ryder on the boat in that WWE shirt, and I miss. So this is the WWE missing the boat.
Right. Great.
With Zack Ryder.
Perfect. Paid for by Woo Woo Nation or whatever the heck you
Woo Woo Entertainment.
Yeah. Great little segment. That was funny. Now, I will tell you this. I told you I wonder which episode I came in. 1,000,000,000%. This is the episode. Episode 9 is the episode that I came in watching the show. Then I binge watched 1 through 9, and then I watched as they went, at least up to 50.
Yes.
So this is the one. So Broski of the Week. It was somebody who held a Broski of the Week sign on Raw. You didn't know his
now
name,
letting the fans be Broski of the Weeks, trying to encourage fans to participate because I needed their help. I couldn't do this alone. I still need their help. I still need you guys to spread this along. But that show, it was very important because you were my voice. I had my 3 minutes on YouTube and my tweets, And I always try to, whatever they gave me on TV, whether it be Superstars or whatever, knock it out of the park. But it was the fans' participation and the fan support that really made this all possible. So if you're bringing a Broski of the Week sign or a Zack Ryder sign to TV, I'm gonna find it if it's on television. I'm gonna screenshot that sumbitch and I'm putting it on the show. A, to say thank you, and B, to encourage others to do it.
Did you do that yourself, finding it, like watching Raw and trying to find it?
I want to say eventually there's someone who helps me out like every single week. I don't recall who helped me out this particular week. Probably it could have been just Steve Zickos again. Not sure.
Right.
We gotta get Steve Zickos on this show.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
All right. So then this is the I think one of the most famous Zetro Island story skits where you're trying.
I would rate it top 5.
Yeah. This is like when you're talking to, I think like when you did the Jericho podcast and he like made reference to it. He's like, yeah, you're doing skits where you're like going over the fence, you're trying to get over. Like when people reference the show and the things that you did, this is like a defining moment in the show.
I agree. If Mattel's making a defining moments, Z Long Island story figure, this is certainly one of them. What it is I'm at Fayette School, my old elementary school, my old stopping grounds. And I'm at the baseball field, and I'm climbing over the fence, and Chiapetta's holding the flip.
I knew it was Chia. I could tell by the voice.
And he says, like, hey, Zach, what are you doing? And I'm trying to climb. And I say, I'm trying to get over. Like, okay, like trying to get over the fence, but also trying to get over in wrestling. Funny thing, I do eventually get over, and I don't know if you catch it. Like, my pants get caught, and I rip my pants.
Oh, I know that you fell. I didn't know you ripped your pants.
Yeah, I ripped my pants. But yeah, that skit. I remember Kane talked to me about it, like you had seen it.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one. It was like, how could you be mad at this kid?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how? He's busting his ass, and he's like trying to be funny, and he's poking fun at himself. He's not complaining. They're not using me correctly. I want to get over, blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing that.
It's all with a smile on your face.
Yeah, with a smile on my face.
Yeah. All right, and then you continue the dad storyline. I made note that dad's still living in the same house because recently I had to pee at your house, and it's the same door and the same hallway.
That's right. I legitimately LOL'd watching this back today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some of the Morrison dad skits were a staple of the show. And listen, when I first started with my dad, I knew that was the skit I wanted to do, that John Morrison's his favorite. I didn't know where it would go. I obviously, then I started thinking about different skits I can do. And this one, I had this idea that I walk into the house to kind of make up, and I hear the music playing, which I believe I edited in later.
Yep.
And I open up a door, and he's there with a fan blowing, and he's got the Morrison shirt on, the glasses. And I remember my mom from like the 80s had this fur coat.
Oh, I was where did you get the coat?
Like almost like the scene from Ghostbusters 2 where they're walking down the street and the coat gets like slimed and it comes alive.
Yep.
Like, and my mom's a hoarder. I knew for a fact it had to be in the basement somewhere.
Right.
And sure enough, it was. And so I had my dad wearing it like it's Morrison's coat. I have the fan blowing. And it's like I'm catching him doing something really bad. Like,
Give me some privacy.
Yeah. It was just really great. And, he was a great sport about it. And it just kind of I eventually pushed the envelope as much as I can with it. We'll get into those later. But it was just a fun skit. And it really has nothing to do with me. But it adds, like I've said before, adding my friends and my family into the show to show different aspects. Because it can't just be me for 3 to 5 minutes.
Right. And then just continuing the storylines makes you be like, I want to know what happens to his dad next week.
Right.
All right, so then here's the big one. You're now filming at Raw. You said earlier, and
you missed the figures. Dolph Ziggler and Peter Venkman again.
Yep. Little Easter egg.
That's right.
So now you're at Raw. You're in your gear. You have genuine excitement. You say, "I told you John Cena was going to be on the show." John Cena walks through the thing, like daps you. He says,
that's it.
Hey, I watched the show, really nice. And then he walks off, and you just start jumping up and down. John Cena was on my show. I told you. Bro, I know you.
Yeah.
I've seen you, act. This was, one of the most genuine things I've ever seen you do ever.
Guys, I mean, full disclosure, it was set up. I knew it was happening. But still, the fact that John Cena was on my show, episode 9, Which, by the way, figure he just texted me, by the way.
Oh, he did?
He did, because I texted him a picture of this also loyalty collects.
Right.
PBR thing. I hope he's not sending me a cease and desist. Oh, God. He wrote, dude, awesome, and true parody. Well done. Woof. Thanks,
Okay.
John.
Okay, thanks,
man, because, oh, man, John sends his lawyers after me. Oh, man, you won't be able to see me. Man.
Right, exactly.
But, yeah,
so
John
it was set up. He wanted to do it?
Yeah, he wanted to do it.
And you were like, bro, you can't, like, it's got to be like you're just walking through.
No. Listen, I would have had a full 60-minute interview with him.
Okay.
So whatever John wants to do on my show, he could do. And his idea was, I just walk by and you play it off like it's the best thing in the world, and it was real, because I would have taken anything.
Yes.
I would have taken if he was just walking by in the background.
Yeah.
But he, the face of the company, wants to interact with me, and he does
say,
also.
I watch a show. Great show.
Yeah. It was great. It was I equate it to like the Triple H finger point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was
Seal of approval.
But
your genuine reaction, like, oh, it was so good.
Of course, listen. Of course, I'm acting, but at the same time, it's real.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, let's go. Like, I told you he's going to be on. He's on. This guy's on board. Why can't everyone else be on board?
Hell
you know?
yes. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Then you close out. Take care. Spike your hair. I think that it's definitely become a thing. So that was great.
Yeah, I also I also mentioned here, or I'm looking at my notes. I finally say, like, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. I think all that stuff is important.
Yes.
Even on this video, guys, like it, leave a comment, interact.
Yeah, that'd be great. Ask us questions. By the way, if you have questions that you need to know in the follow-up, or you have something that you want to know, in the comments is a good way to do that, because we read them and we can bring them up on the show. So we'll, let us know.
That'd be awesome.
And if you're listening, Twitter.
Yeah. And I finally figured out how to center the links, I believe. You know, like the Facebook, the Twitter, because they were like to the left, to the right. Now I figured out how to center them.
Cool.
This is another thing. Like, I'm telling people, hey, you want a headband? Contact WWE Shop. Tweet WWE Shop. Call them, whatever. And I'm not trying to be annoying, but we got to get things done.
Yep.
And the only way to get things done, not just in this business, but in life, is to do it yourself.
Right.
You know?
I feel you. And that is like, I think that is like the freaking definition of this show and the Major Pod Network and everything. So I feel you. All right. Before we get to know your bro, let's hear a little word from our sponsors.
The Major Pod Network has a new tag team partner, Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Everybody needs some liquid courage to make their own weekly purchases. Scratch that figure itch and scratch that PBR itch.
Get your PBR beer, get your PBR hard coffee, and get your PBR stronger seltzer.
8%? If you're listening to this, you're already a major mark. Now it's time to become a major PBR mark.
Use the hashtag MajorPBR and post your pictures and videos of you major marking out.
Pabst Blue Ribbon and the Major Pod Network, the new tag team champions of the world.
Of the world!
But we're definitely not getting any new figures from Mattel.
And we're back!
Marky, this PBR, stronger seltzer, the lime, baby. Like, this is like, if this was 2011, I'm at Lido West or Jones Beach or whatever, I would have a case of these bad boys.
Hell yeah.
Bud Light Lime, I'd kick them to the curb.
Right.
And I'd be chugging these. I'd just be closing my eyes, smelling that summertime.
Calories are equal to like a beer, like a light beer. However, 8%.
8%'s a big boy.
Yes, that's
a big boy. So a regular PBR has what? I'm looking at the can right now.
5% less.
Does it say on the can?
4.8. Yeah, somewhere.
It must say somewhere.
But a light beer is like 5. That's a period of the story.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, 8%'s like a double IPA.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Are you serious, bro?
All right.
Before we get into that,
Yes.
What about the Are You Serious, Bro? Tweet
Let's
of the
hear
week?
it.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So all you got to do, you will get an 8x10 if I read it on air. Just tweet something funny. Use the hashtag Are You Serious, Bro? This one popped me. It said, this from @Benny_C23. Triple H, finally a major mark. Only 10 years too late. Hashtag Are You Serious, Bro? And he posted the picture of him with the NXT tag team doing the major mark symbol.
They're all major marks.
They're all major marks.
That was our hand signal for symbol first.
MSK, great team. But I'm glad Triple H finally get down with the major pod, baby. Major mark.
All right, know your bro.
Ooh, I'm nervous about this. If Mark asks the question, just go to the Twitter, use the hashtag #KnowYourBro. If Mark reads it, guess what I'm sending you? The 8x10. Now listen, guys. I know we say this a lot on the podcast. I haven't said it yet on this podcast. I want to fill people in. You don't need to DM me and say that you haven't gotten it yet.
Right.
I'm asking for a little patience here.
Right.
If I say that I sent it, what that really means is that I've put it in the envelope signed and wrote your name on an address, and it is a pile waiting to be sent.
Right.
The sent is just for me to know I had sent it.
Yes.
So like right now, I have a pretty fat stack. Believe it or not, my schedule's a little busy, but I will get, I think this is the week I'll drop off like the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is a lot of 8x10s and giveaways because we do a lot in the major pod. We probably do like 7 to 8 giveaways a week.
Right.
So
Exactly.
times 3 or 4, I got a little stack. I'm a little behind, but they're coming. I promise.
Got it. That makes sense.
They're coming. I promise.
All right, Don Clark @Don_. Were you asking guys in the back to be on the show at this point? And who was the first to ask? Oh, I'm sorry. Were guys in the back asking you to get to be on the show at this point? I know we talked about Stanford sort of bringing it up, but is there any like wrestlers?
I don't think anyone really at this point is asking. I certainly want people to be on more than just my dad and my friends.
Do you feel awkward asking them?
100%. And you know me, Mark. I know.
I was going to bring that up.
I hate asking for things. I hate asking for favors. I despise it. If I asked anybody, that means that I really, really wanted them on. It was for something really, really important in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ask for favors very, very often unless it's very, very important to me. Someone like Ziggs, eventually we get him on. Morrison, of course, we get on.
So basically, if somebody had asked you by episode 9 to be on, you would have been like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't have turned anybody down.
So maybe the answer is no, they're not asking yet.
Yeah, they're not asking.
Other than Stanford.
Yeah. I think we talk about it like later on. NYWC guy Papa Don tries to get his own segment on the show. Where I'm like, are you serious, bro?
Right. Well, hey, you're using Big O and Cheap Betta and stuff, so why not? Why not other people?
I don't think anyone was asking and I was saying no.
Got it.
If someone was asking to be on, I'd figure out a way to get them on because the more the merrier when it comes to on-air personalities and characters, especially if it's a WWE wrestler who has more like equity than me, could help me out, could bring me some new eyes. Because back then, if somebody says, watch this, you're probably watching it. Now, if someone says, watch this, you're probably not watching it.
Yes.
Right?
But also, Dolph Ziggler may have a separate set of fans that aren't Zack Ryder fans, and you just mingle those all together.
But back then, if Dolph Ziggler said to watch something, people probably would. Now, they probably wouldn't. That's just how it is.
Right. There's a million things to watch. Yes.
Right.
Just because you're a wrestler with a podcast doesn't mean you're going to get...
Yeah, I have 2 million followers. There's 2 million people are not listening to this podcast.
No.
I wish they were, but they're not.
Yeah. Can you just tweet and tell them to listen for Christ's sake?
Duh.
Yeah.
And then later on, not that I'm giving anybody the rub, but if I can help out like a Trent Beretta who's not on TV and give them an outlet, because there are some people, Brian included, who try to start their own YouTube show and like it does not work out.
Right.
So if I can take some people and like give them a little segment like Trent or even EC3, that psychopath. I have him on as tout man. If I can get people on, or even if they're on like a one-off, I love it. You know, if I can help somebody out, great. But at this time, I'm the one who needs the help.
Right.
So if anyone's offering, I'm taking it. So if John Cena is asking to be on the show, well, there's your answer. John Cena asked to be on, and John Cena was on.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
All right, characters debuted. Speaking of, John Cena debuts.
I would say he's a character in this story.
Yeah, for sure. He may not
100%.
be at the end, have been in a lot of episodes, but whatever, he's a character.
I think he is in a lot of episodes in the sense that later on I start using real footage
Of match stuff.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to count that. Because technically John Cena was in 2 weeks ago and Triple H was in, but that's
right. I see what you're
non-footage.
saying. Okay. Yeah.
So like I want footage shot by you or
Sure.
submitted by somebody else to be counted as the character in the show. All right, this episode, 329,821 views. That is up a lot from last week. So my guess is the John Cena rub gave this one a little bump. And as I said before, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And that closes out episode 9 of Z-Tron and Story. I'm still tracking things and all that stuff. So in a couple weeks, we'll catch you up on that. But anyway, ProWrestlingTees.com. /Major WF Pod. That's where you find our shirts. I'm wearing a Hollywood Hogan shirt for Hogan going into the NWO. But this is from Hogan's Beach Shop.
You mean Hogan going into the Hall of Fame? He's already in the NWO, bro.
Sorry,
he's for life.
in the Hall of Fame. Jeez.
Yeah.
Hogan going into the Hall of Fame. Congrats.
ProWrestlingTees.com /Matt Cardona, MattCardonamerch.com. And guys, FWF Live. This is the last day, if you're listening Thursday, to get the show exclusive merch, and you'll see Chiappetta and my dad, Big O, not just in the background, with like they're chewing some meat off the bone. Very integral parts of this show. It will go away after today. We are working on DVD release and even a VHS release, but for now, this is the only place to get it. So we would appreciate that. And
it was great. I mean, we pushed it last week. We're going to push it all over the place. The reviews have been phenomenal. Thank you very much, everyone. We know it was a hefty price, but we actually put a lot of money into this.
Yes,
we put a lot of time into this. This is a wrestling pay-per-view. It's on Patreon. It's not a recurring fee. I'm actually emailing with Patreon right now to do this the best way that we possibly can.
Yes.
But it was great. It's one of I can say this right now. I think it's in the top 5 things, maybe the best thing we've ever done as the Major Pod Network.
If it's not,
it's definitely in the top 5.
I don't want to say it's number 1, but I couldn't tell you what would make it number 2.
Exactly.
And
you get all that merch that goes with it. I just think it's so cool. It's
and
so
then
cool.
also, listen, we're not going to plug the Patreon more, but there's other tiers, higher tiers that give you a behind the scenes look.
Oh,
and 2 podcasts, a before and after pod. And guys, if you're a regular Patreon member, I know it's confusing, but patreon.com /Major WF Pod, you'll get all these episodes early and ad free. So typically we record on Mondays. You'll get it Tuesday. And this week I just did a bonus episode just for the sake of it. And I'll do a couple of those every once in a while. We're not going to schedule those, but just bonus episodes every once in a while. But at least you'll get all this stuff early and ad free as
that's
well.
Only $4.99. $4.99.
Yeah, as well as the Major Pod stuff early and ad free.
Right.
So we thank you guys. We really appreciate all the support. Please just tell a friend. We need this to spread just like the first one. Now listen, we're not trying to capture lightning in a bottle again. The first show was about me getting noticed, about me getting over, if you will. This is more about just like telling the story, having fun. If someone else can take a chance on themselves, listen, anyone could always be doing better in their life and their career. This is not to further my wrestling career. If it does, fantastic. But I'm not thinking that this show about a show from 10 years ago is going to get me to, no, this is more for fun, a trip down memory lane, and to inspire somebody out there to take a chance on themselves, because there's no better time than now to say, you know what, let's just go. Let's just do it and be your own boss and take those risks and take those chances. And even if they don't pay off, when it's all said and done, you tried.
Right.
And I think that's the
I
most
look at this
important part.
more as the Matt Cardona digital book of the years 2011 through 2012. That's what
I'll tell you what, it will certainly help when I sit down and write that book.
Right, exactly. All right, take us out.
All right. Well, even though Anthony LaRocca says he knows a guy from Facebook, I still need somebody to link those Facebook accounts. Don't send me the frequently asked question part where they tell you how to do it. I need a real life human being. There's got to be somebody listening who knows a real life human from Facebook. So like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. Make sure you like, if you're listening on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, leave a review, subscribe. Buy some merch and take care. Spike your hair and don't forget to drink your PBO.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Later, Marks.
Just a kid.